The HOA said my puppy was a danger, so they called animal control on me, without warning. I thought I was just another rule-breaking dog owner, but they had no idea. I'm a licensed veterinary technician, and they were about to learn what real animal care and community law actually looks like. Here we go. When I moved into the Maple Hollow community, I was looking for peace. I had just finished renovating my life. New job, new house, and finally, a little space of my own. The neighborhood was quiet, clean, and according to their welcome packet, pet-friendly. That was important, because 2 weeks before the move, I had adopted a 12-week-old Labrador puppy. Her name was Luna, jet black fur, floppy ears, and the kind of clumsy zoomies that made strangers smile. She was my project and my joy, a sweet little rescue with a heart full of love and paws too big for her body. As a licensed veterinary technician, I took care of her like a professional should. Daily routines, vaccination schedule locked in, obedience training started day one. She had her own crate, feeding station, playtime tracker, even a puppy wellness journal. And every neighbor who saw her melted. What a cutie. The face should be illegal. She's so well behaved. I kept her leashed during walks, always picked up after her, and never let her bark run wild. She was still learning, sure, but she was healthy, happy, and already smarter than some adult dogs. For the first time in a while, life felt settled, at least. Until the knock on my door. It was a sunny Thursday afternoon. Luna had just finished her training session. Sit, stay, gentle paw, and was napping near the patio door with her favorite squeaky bone. Then came the knock, not the casual kind. The official, measured two-knock pause kind. I opened the door to find a man in uniform, clipboard in hand, badge glinting in the light. Good afternoon. Are you the owner of a black Labrador puppy? I nodded cautiously. Yes, her name's Luna. Is something wrong? Sighed, and flipped a page on the clipboard. We received a report from your HOA about a potential case of animal neglect. Claims say the dog is often unsupervised, barks excessively, and may be unvaccinated or improperly restrained. I blinked. Neglect? Luna was literally snoozing behind me. Full belly, freshly brushed coat, toys neatly scattered on a clean rug. I stepped aside and gestured toward her. That's her. And I'm a licensed vet tech. Then back at me. Then back at Luna again. The officer glanced at Luna. Do you mind if I take a quick look? Be my guest. He stepped inside, greeted Luna gently, checked her body condition, eyes, nails, and tags. She wagged her tail the whole time. I handed him her vaccination folder, feeding chart, and a copy of her obedience class enrollment.
Oh.
He flipped through it, eyebrows rising. Then he smiled. This dog is cleaner and more cared for than most I see on wellness checks. He wrote something down, then looked at me, more relaxed now. This feels like a malicious complaint. Someone clearly wanted to cause trouble. Off the record, I nodded. That someone is the HOA. Well, they're not going to like what I'm writing in this report. She's a rescue. I took her in the same week I moved here, been documenting her health and behavior since day one. As the officer finished his notes, I walked over to the counter and picked up my wallet. By the way, I said, sliding out a laminated card, I thought this might help. Handed him my state-issued veterinary technician license. He looked down, read it, then laughed under his breath. Now it all makes sense. Is your dog? They can get in trouble for that? The yard's spotless. Vaccines up to date. Crate trained. No signs of stress or behavioral red flags. I nodded. Let's see how the HOA likes my paperwork. Then I showed him the vet clinic I worked at, my certification records, even Luna's microchip registration, updated to the HOA address on file. No violation, no follow-up needed. If anything, I'll be filing this under targeted harassment. His response? Honestly, this is the most thorough documentation I've ever seen during a call like this. He shook his head. She's socialized, healthy, clean. Then he tapped his clipboard with his pen. I'm marking this as a false complaint. I raised an eyebrow. If a group knowingly files misleading animal welfare complaints, yes, especially if it wastes city resources. He handed me his card. If they try again, call me. You have nothing to worry about. I thanked him, shook his hand, and closed the door behind him. Luna sat at my feet, tail wagging, still oblivious to the drama. Good girl, I whispered. I did not storm into the HOA office. I did not yell. I did not post angry rants in the neighborhood Facebook group. Instead, I sent an email. A very professional, very detailed email with receipts. Subject: formal response to false complaint filed against my licensed service animal, and training attachments included. A copy of Luna's full vaccination records. Animal control officer's signed visit report. My state vet tech license. Copy of local ordinance clarifying proper complaint protocol. Photos of Luna, her care environment, and training logs. And finally, a closing line. I'm requesting a written apology from the HOA within 5 business days. Failure to issue one may result in formal legal action for harassment and defamation. 2 hours later, I got a reply. We regret any inconvenience. The board was acting in response to anonymous concerns and meant no offense, no apology, no ownership. Just, we didn't mean it, I replied once more. Then I suggest the board revisit how anonymous complaints are verified. This is the first and last time you will falsely accuse me of neglecting an animal I am certified to care for professionally. I hit send. Then I printed everything out, tucked it into a labeled folder, and dropped a hard copy off at their office, just for good measure. The silence lasted 3 days. Then, a knock at my door. This time it was not animal control. It was a polite-looking woman from the HOA board. Clipboard in hand, fake smile in place. Hi, I just wanted to personally follow up. There may have been a misunderstanding. I let her speak. I did not smile. Sometimes these complaints get processed without full context. We're working on improving that system. By calling animal control on a licensed vet tech, that kind of system? I raised an eyebrow. She cleared her throat. We had no idea you were a veterinary professional. And if we had, this would have been handled differently. I handed her a copy of the animal control officer's report. Again. So the standard is, treat residents poorly unless they're licensed. She had no answer for that. The next day I noticed something strange. Neighbors started approaching me, quietly. Hey, did they come after you too? You wrote me up for a barking chihuahua that doesn't even live with me? A targeted campaign masked as policy enforcement. I got a warning about visible pet bulls on my porch. One neighbor, an elderly man, said, "They tried to say my cat was a nuisance because it looked aggressive in security footage." That is when I realized this was not just about Luna. This was a pattern, so I posted something simple in the community forum. If you've received an HOA animal complaint that felt unfair or unverified, please DM me. You are not alone. Within 24 hours, I had over 30 messages. And the HOA, well, they were about to face something stronger than a complaint. They were about to face a coalition. Within 1 week, we had momentum. A dozen neighbors, pet owners, parents, even a former HOA board member, had come forward with stories of petty citations, anonymous threats, and unannounced inspections. And now, the screenshots were flying. One resident shared an email thread, "Remove the dog bowl from porch view, it encourages rodents." Another had received a warning for dog-related noises. From a neighbor's house, it was clear the HOA had been weaponizing complaints. So we did what any responsible group of neighbors would do. We petitioned for a formal review of the HOA's enforcement practices. The response? A rushed, poorly worded email from the HOA president? We believe our policies have been applied fairly. However, to ensure community trust, we will hold an open forum next Thursday at the clubhouse. Perfect. That night, the room was packed. People brought photos, vet records, audio recordings, and stories. One neighbor stood and said, "You find me for a dog barking? I live alone. I do not own a dog." Gasps. Laughter. Someone clapped, and it was my turn. I walked to the front, held up my license, and calmly said, "You called animal control on a healthy, fully vaccinated puppy, based on zero evidence. I am a licensed veterinary technician. Your actions were reckless, unfounded, and damaging." Silence. Then, applause. By the end of the meeting, the board had no choice but to agree to the following. Anonymous complaints would now require supporting evidence. Pet policies would undergo third-party legal review. Retaliation complaints would be independently investigated. The president of the HOA would step down. I walked out into the night, leash in one hand, Luna by my side. We passed the community bulletin board on the way home. Someone had pinned a flyer, Join us next week. A Vet Tech talks pet health and HOA rights. Open to all. I smiled. This was no longer about just me and my dog. This was about a community waking up and taking its voice back. After the meeting, everything changed. The HOA no longer saw Luna as a problem. Now she was a community icon. On morning walks, kids ran up just to pet her. "Hi, Luna. Can't you do a trick? She's so pretty." Neighbors we had never spoken to before started stopping by just to chat. One even asked, "Do you give puppy care classes? My niece just adopted one." That was the moment I realized. What started as a harassment attempt turned into a platform. The community bulletin board was updated weekly with new pet-friendly announcements. Dog treat drive, drop off at Unit 16, free puppy social hour, Saturdays at 10, pet behavior Q&A with a vet tech, hosted by Luna S. Mom. People brought treats on holidays. Luna even got her own name tag on the neighborhood directory as an honorary resident, and the HOA. They stayed quiet, more cautious, more respectful, and very, very aware that the residents had found their voice. You didn't just protect your dog. One day I got a card in my mailbox. No name, just handwriting that said, "Thank you for standing up. You protected ours too." That meant everything. Because this was never just about Luna. It was about respect. It was about truth. It was about reminding a board of power-happy rule enforcers that when you come for someone's family, even the four-legged kind, you better be ready for the bark and the bite. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.